How y'all doing today, my friends? Welcome to part 14 of the Chris Chan and Alec Benson Leary phone call series. Now, where we last left off, Alec was asking Chris about the slow rate of his comic production and why he never posts anything, and Chris told Alec, well, he'll be doing it next week on his birthday, like a big group of pages. And when Alec was a little confused on when Chris's birthday was, Chris had to let him know, it does say it on my Wikipedia. So you better get to learning, motherfucker. Well, he didn't quite say it like that. He just kind of, he basically just implied that he was kind of disappointed in Alec, for not knowing when his birthday was, mainly because of all the ads on there. I assume Chris just thought, hey, well, this guy's on my page a lot because all his ads are there, so he's got to know my birthday. But that's where we left off. It's just the same stuff we've been hearing most of these parts. Alec grilling Chris not really having a good explanation for any of it. So yeah, let's be honest, it's nothing out of the ordinary, and it's going to keep on continuing this way, but things are going to get a little more heated as they go on. So I want to say, as I do at the beginning of all of these, I hope you guys enjoy it. Spark one up, chill out, just have a good day while listening to this. Obviously it's not going to be a day-long video, but still, just have a good time while listening to this. I hope you can. And if you want to go see all previous parts and the full unedited version without my commentary, it's down below. But with all that aside, let's just jump right into it and see where we left off.
I'm sorry, I didn't know when your birthday was.
Well, it specifically stated on the on my bio page on the Wikipedia, and in a couple other places, the 24th of February,
Hey,
1982.
Chris, when is my birthday?
I don't know. I did not study your bio. I did not
Well,
study
Chris,
your bio
it's
page.
on my bio page on the Asperpedia. Why wouldn't you know it?
Well, I did not make
I
an
mean, if
effort
I'm
to tell
supposed to know
you
your
because
birthday, don't you know mine? Chris, I'm kind of hurt.
okay, well, I apologize
Oh my
for that. And after we're done here, I'll go to your bio page and learn, put in my mind when your birthday is.
Nah, you don't have to do that. Don't worry about it. I'd rather you work on pages than go look up info about me. Because, I actually, I don't know your birthday because I've been working on my pages rather than, looking up your bio. Yeah, so I do really have to recommend that you begin uploading those 30 pages immediately. As soon as we're done with the call or whatever, just get to work on it. I mean, stay up all night if you have to get those pages up.
Now, I'd be willing to bet that Chris did in fact stay up this whole night when this call was recorded. However, I highly doubt he was drawing comics at that time. Chris most likely stayed up all night, talking to his proposed sweethearts, playing some video games. The important things come first. But, he's never going to take Alec's advice on this stuff, even though the advice Alec is giving him is stuff that really could help him if he was serious about drawing his comic, which he's clearly not. You see, that's the purpose of Alec being here. It may be funny to watch some dude just grill Chris and show Chris how things should be done, but that's kind of the point of the character Alec is portraying, Alec's trying to make himself out to be like an on-the-ball artist, a guy who's getting all his work out there and getting a lot of fans because of just how consistent he is with his art, and people seem to like it. And he's trying to get Chris to realize that, hey, if you only did these few things that you could easily do because you don't have anything else going on in your daily life, you could be at this level too. And even though the guy's fucking around and saying that, it has a good message behind it because it really could have driven Chris to want to be this way, to be this person that he thinks he already is, But he never became that because Chris is he's not down to listen to what anyone else has to say unless it's someone who he deems like not a troll or anything. And even then, he'd barely listen to them. So Chris never took Alec's advice, and we all know where he ended up now. Maybe if he actually took Sanju seriously, he could have been making a good little living on like Etsy and all, because people are already selling his Sanju drawings on there for upwards of $200. Like right now from jail, there's weirdos are selling like high priced jail letters. If Chris really knew how to do his own thing, he would have been making bank. But he didn't. A lot of people always talk about that, the legalities of this, and when he got copyright claimed and all that. People will donate to Chris anyway. There's always going to be weens out there who would donate to Chris. And if Chris knew how to really capitalize on that, he probably could have been making much more of a killing than he actually ended up making in his life. So who knows? It's all Chris's fault, though, for how these things turned out.
Because here's the thing about the way fans work. If you leave your fans in the dark for a week or 2 weeks or a month or however long, it really doesn't matter if you're partially completing some things, because if you don't put out any product, then your fans have nothing to work with. Have you ever heard of the game Duke Nukem Forever?
I'm sorry, you said Duke Nukem Forever?
Yeah, you know the Duke Nukem video games. You ever played any of those?
I have seen samples of that game.
Okay. Well, the company that made those, they were working on a game called Duke Nukem Forever. And that was going to be, like their next great title. And they were working on that for actually about 15 years. And they kept promising, we've got the engine built, we've got the characters designed, we've got all this built, and all that's left is for us to release it. And they never released it because they kept retooling and tinkering with it. And finally, the company actually went out of business. So now there won't ever be any other Duke Nukems. And if you keep doing the same thing, Sonichu is going to go out of business. Well, not permanently, because I have Sonichu Revolution, so it'll live on in some form.
Well, your revolutions are not the original Sanju pages of which only I can draw up and tell.
Oh my god, bro! It's like this is one of the few times you get kind of irritated with Chris. 'Cause it's like, dude, acknowledge the point at hand, Like, don't just go off on. Of course, he fucking does only I can draw Sonichu. It's like, yeah, that's all well and good. I know you think that, but why don't you acknowledge the fact that if you don't get on the ball, there is going to be no Sonichu to draw because nobody's going to give a shit about it. And of course, when Alec brings up that he's the one staying there doing it, keep drawing Sonichu for Chris's fans. That's what ticks Chris off. He's quiet at any other point, but the second Alex says something like that, he's always quick to jump up and say, yeah, well, I'm the only one who can do it, and you can't do this. And it's like, okay, well, why don't you talk about the fact that, you're just being lazy and you don't do anything? But he can never do that. He can't, like I said before, everything goes in one ear and out the other, and he only hears the things that he kind of grasps onto. I don't really know how to put it, The second Alex says, oh, I'll keep drawing Sonichu Revolution, that's when it finally ticks to Chris, and he's like, oh shit, no, you can't be doing that. But it's at the same time, it's Chris. It's just some fucking weirdo on the internet. But at the end of the day, it's not like you can actually sit here and be like, oh my god, I hate Chris Frizz, I hate Chris Frizz. It's just, no, who cares? It's just some dude on the internet. But at the same time, it's just like, come on, just answer the goddamn question. It's right fucking there, and you avoid it every time. But it's Chris, and I don't know why I ever expected anything differently from him, and I've listened to this call 1,000,001 times, and each time I hear it, I'm like, wait a minute, is he gonna do it? Oh, what am I thinking? Of course he's not gonna actually answer it. But it's just how Chris does shit.
But what they are is existence, and the fans appreciate that. Your pages are not existence. And if you stop Sonichu, then, the fans are going to want something.
Yeah. Okay, well, I get it. Well, don't worry. You will see all those pages in the completion of the 10th book.
Okay. Does this mean... I'm a little confused. You remember when I told you... Well, of course you remember. I brought it up plenty of times about how you really need to either, do some sort of major reboot of Sonichu or else just come up with a completely different comic because, all of the elements that you stole from other franchises. Are you still, thinking about that? Or because if you're going to finish book 10, then...
I have been thinking about that, actually.
What do you think about it?
Some of those changes will be talked about in the clip show that's going to be in book 11.
So we talked about it in the previous parts, but when Alec brings up the reboot idea for Chris and Sonichu, Chris he never comprehends it. Because what Alec is saying is, you gotta get rid of Sonichu, get rid of Rosechu, you can, you can make some entirely original character and then start from scratch there and then make it all copyright free, you don't gotta worry about that. But the way Chris sees it as, is he has to get rid of himself, because remember, Chris is always self-inserting himself into his own writings. Now, another thing I brought up in the last part is that that's the one original thing Chris could have kept in his comics. He could have kept himself. He could have made Christian Weston Chandler's Wacky World of whatever. Could have been fine. But the second he draws Sonichu or adds Meg Griffin to it, or like Alec brings up the Autobots and all this stuff, it becomes a mess. So when Chris talks about this, he never understands it. What he thinks a reboot has to be is just him maybe starting the story from scratch, I think his idea personally is getting rid of himself because people didn't want to see him in it, because that's what they were saying at the time. And even now, Chris will always say, well, he'll get rid of himself somewhat, not fully, because he can't bear without drawing himself in the Sanju world. And also, he probably would have rewritten it and kind of changed things in the past that made him sound bad, and then also get rid of Simonla from ever happening. I feel like that was Chris's idea, personally, just by listening to him talk all these times about it. And when he says he would be talking about it in the upcoming part 10, well, that's the thing. He was probably going to say, oh, this would never happen, this would never happen, so yeah, this never happened, guys, that's that. Not realizing what a reboot truly was. And it was, when Alec brings it up to Chris, like I said, it seems like a completely foreign concept to him, because Chris just could never comprehend getting rid of Sanju and all completely, and still to this day, he can never do it. So, it's just, that's that. And the reboot that even in his mind, the one of getting rid of himself and all that, yeah, that never even happened, because like I said, he couldn't bear to take himself out of his comics. He has to always be talking about himself, and Kristen Weston Chandler always has to be the limelight in the middle of all this, even though it's a comic called Sanju. So yeah, even though Alec can get a bit much at times, it's not like the dude isn't giving Chris some real solid advice for how to run his comic and all this, but Chris is just he's too ignorant to take it, he's too naive to take it, and like I always say, it's just he'll never change, and he never did change, but it's not surprising.
So is book 11 going to be a transition from the current Sanju to a new one?
It's a transition.
Oh, okay. Well, that's actually not really what a reboot is about. See, what you're doing, a transition, suggests that the Sanju that exists now is going to be part of the same universe or world as whatever new Sanju. What a reboot is a hard stop. It's you reset completely. You start over from scratch. Everything that came before means nothing. It's null and void.
Yeah, see, that's the type of shit right there Chris can never fathom. It's just, making all that Sanju stuff he's drawn in the past, just making that not matter, To him, I think, the idea Alec has is using the name Sanju, cool, you can probably use that, but make, an wholly original character. Pikachu can't be in his backstory, Sonic can't be in his backstory, the chaotic combo, the fucking Autobots and all that can't be in the story, but to Chris, it's no, absolutely not. Because at this point, what? This was 2010. Chris is 28 years old at this point, and this has been his entire life. So to get rid of Sanju would be basically pissing away the past 10 years of his adult life, and that's just it's something Chris wasn't willing to do.
For example, the Spider-Man movies, they aren't in the same world as the comic. They were sort of a reboot because they told everything over from the beginning.
I see.
Yeah. I mean, I know I can sympathize with you on this. I mean, you've been working on Sanju for, 10 years now, and the thought that you have to abandon it completely and start over with something new, I understand that that's kind of a scary thought. But it is true. Have you, what do you think of Sanju Revolution, by the way? Have you been reading it? I'm only 7 pages in right now. But.
I have to look at it, and I did not like the way you were killing characters left and right. That's no good. It's just terrible.
Well,
don't go killing characters. That just does not work.
Come on. I mean, I'm dead ass with you. He sounds just like my fucking grandmom. Because I'll never forget when I was 9 or 10 years old. One of the new Guitar Heroes came out, and we were playing Chop Suey by System of a Down. And one of the lyrics is when angels deserve to die. And my grandma's like, oh no, that's just horrible. That's terrible. Angels don't deserve to die. That just doesn't, no, you can't say that. And that's why I always say that Chris, he parrots, I feel like he probably parrots Barb, He just thinks like his parents think, because it's the only people he's ever been around, it's the only people he's ever, done anything with. he treats everything like I said, like an older person. Like, oh my god, that blood and gore, absolutely not in all this. However, as you're gonna come to find out, he's just not okay with it happening to his characters. He's totally cool with seeing it in real time. He'll try to complain. He'll try to tell Alec that he's not cool with it, but as you can see here, he keeps slipping up and admitting that, in the right circumstances, he's cool with a little bit of violence.
It's like
Chris.
it's like doing zombie X-Men,
Yeah.
Marvel zombie.
I remember that was actually a pretty popular comic, wasn't it?
It's actually on the PlayStation Network digital comic download, only on the PSP right now.
Oh, well, I've seen it in stores.
Put that out there.
Well, it was pretty popular, was my point.
But that's the point. That's still like, killing. It's just like killing everybody left and right. It's
Chris,
not really
how many comic books and TV shows and movies and, whatever other media have you seen where characters die? Do you think they're all bad?
Yes. Yeah, they are bad because that's just totally sad. And plus, to do it in such a gory way is just terrifying. It's like any of the Saw movies, especially like the first trap in Saw 6.
Did you like those movies?
That was horrifying.
Did you like those movies, Chris? The Saw movies?
Yeah, I liked them. I mean, I enjoyed the.
You liked them, but there's death in it. How could you like a movie that has death in it, Chris? Death is bad. You said death is bad.
I'm not talking about.
Death
I'm not
is
saying. I mean, yeah. I'm not talking about the death parts. I did not say I like the death parts. I like the building of the character of John Kramer in the movies.
Alright, see, that's how you know he's lying, because nobody watches the fucking Saw movies for plot and character development, you lying bastard. No. Alright, so like I said earlier, this is why he's cool with violence when it's like something where he's not involved, Obviously, I think anybody is. But, when you add the Sonachus to that violent world and have them just getting picked off left and right, that's where Chris is just drawing the line, because it basically is in his mind, like you going into Quickville, like this full armory behind you and just taking shit out. That's how Chris sees it. And it's later on with the idea guys. Look what they did. They just draw a picture or make like a fake newscast of them being like, "Oh my god, we're bombing Quickville," and Chris would be like, No, don't do it. Don't bomb Quickville, please. Like, don't bomb us. And like he's very like, what's the word? He's very easy to trick. Like he's not too bright, and he's very gullible. And that's why like he'll be genuinely upset by Alec doing all this violent work and all that. Not because he thinks it doesn't work in comics. Like I said, it's because he doesn't want it happening to his characters, who he sees as a living, breathing thing. He's already gone over that earlier in these calls.
But the point is, you still like the movies overall, right? I mean, you went and see them. You'd probably see them again.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they were I mean, I would admit they are horrifying, and they do frighten me.
Well, hence the genre of horror. If it's horrifying, it's doing its job, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, still, that's Hollywood magic. That's the people that acted in those movies are still alive and well. They just
right. I forgot, because comic characters are real people, and apparently I'm guilty of multiple homicide now. Chris,
yeah.
You
see, come on. I just pointed out there that because you can barely hear it, but after Alex says that, so now I'm guilty of homicide because I did all this to these cartoon characters, Chris genuinely responds with, yeah, because he really thinks Alec is. And the reason I wanted to stop it here and point this out is because I don't think Alec hears it at the time, and he just keeps going on with what he's saying, so it never gets brought up. But really, like, Chris brings up that, the Saw movies and all that, that's fine because it's Hollywood magic and no one's actually really getting hurt. But Alec drawing this stuff down on a piece of paper and putting it online, that's really hurting these Sonachus, ladies and gentlemen. That's absolutely just cutting these people down he's just doing these terrible, terrible things to these Sonachus when he puts that pen to paper. And Chris, like I said earlier, he genuinely thinks these are real people. He really thinks these are real things that have thoughts, of feelings, and all that. So when Alec brings it up as like a passing comment, being completely sarcastic, that yeah, maybe I should be thrown in jail because I'm guilty of all these homicides, Chris, in his mind, really thinks that this guy's like a terrible person for doing this and that he deserves something like that. his worldview is incredibly, incredibly messed up. Because, like I said, it shows how genuinely, Chris hates the word, but it shows how naive he is. Because no life experience. This man has no types of life experience if he's genuinely sitting here worrying about the thoughts and feelings and the lives of these comic book characters who he thinks is real.
You remember when you killed Simona because we strong-armed you into it because you refused to do it willingly? Are you guilty of homicide now? Because you killed Simona.
Actually, you could blame the Voltorb that was placed by that toilet that exploded. Because the Voltorb exploded.
Chris, you drew the Voltorb. You drew the Voltorb. Chris, you knew Simona was going to die. You knew there was going to be a Voltorb there, and you did nothing to stop it. You are an accessory to murder. Who cares if someone else placed it? You knew, of course you knew she was going to die because, I've been telling you for weeks to kill her.
Read the pages after I put them all up, and you'll see that it would have been preventable, but there was a way that it could not have been prevented.
So due to Chris wanting to use the excuse that Alec is like some murderer and all this because of what he did to the Sonichus by his own hand in these drawings, Alec brings up, well, you drew the Voltorb that blew up Simona. So if that's the case, then you are also an accessory to murder. And Chris is like, no, like all things, rules for thee, but not for me. Not for Chris, ladies and gentlemen. If he draws it, that does not mean anything, because all Chris had to write was that this was not preventable. This had to happen, because he had to get his ads off his page. So these people who he loves and cares about so much, these Sonichus, if he needs to get something that's slightly inconvenience him, like the ads, they're slightly inconveniencing Chris. So to get rid of them, all he has to do is kill this person who he sees as a living, breathing person. But he sees this as unpreventable because the ads come first. Getting them off his page come before the life of one of these Sonichus. Chris is just being a hypocrite on all types of levels here. He doesn't give a shit what this guy's saying. Even if Chris doesn't make any sense and it makes him look bad, it's just no. You're the bad one here, not Chris. And no matter what Alex says, Chris is not going to realize that.
Did you see my page where Sanju killed himself? Did you see how depressed he was? I couldn't have prevented that. Sometimes people are so depressed that you just can't reach them. And it's tragic, but, sometimes people commit suicide because they believe there's just no way out for them.
I have a question for you.
Oh,
you said
please.
You like Sanju. Why did you draw him killing himself? If you liked him, you would not have done that.
I didn't draw Sonichu killing himself. I said Sanju. Your car, I don't want to say Autobot because it's trademark, but...
Okay, well, excuse me. Well, I misunderstood.
I'm not sure if
that was wrong. I mean, I was like, you're killing my vehicle. It's like, you're making me have to pay, like...
No, Chris,
See, at first there, Chris is really upset because he thinks that Alec, if you like Sonichu, why'd you draw him killing himself? But no, Alec actually drew Sanju doing that, Chris's car, Chris's Autobot. And Chris's reaction to that, I had to pause it because Chris's fucking reaction, he gets cut off by Alec, but he's saying like, yeah, well, that was still really wrong. You're making me have to pay like a ton of... So the way he sees this, like in his warped reality mind, Chris sees this as, oh, since you made my car, like, put a gun to his head, yeah, well, now I'm gonna have to pay a lot in insurance, guy. So thanks a lot for that. Like, it's just, like, you'd act like he keyed his fucking car or something. Like, he's just, I don't understand. I don't think any rational person understands Chris's mindset, but, like, he's the only type of person who would see this as a fucking, like, a slight. Like, oh, man, I can't believe you did that to my Autobot car. Like, you're a terrible person.
I didn't kill him. He committed suicide. He was depressed because he had a name that he hated, and all the other Autobots made fun of him.
The other Autobots do not make fun of each other for their names.
No, they make fun of Sanju.
I fucking love that at the end too. Like, no, they make fun of Sanju. They really do. Because like I brought it up before that Chris, like he sees the Sanju world and like everything in it like is so cool. Like everything like Sanju has to look cool and Chris has to pose with his guitar and look cool in the comics. To him, he thinks this is impressing people. But when Alec brings up that all the other Autobots, they make fun of Sanju for his name, so he tried to kill himself. And Chris is just not having it. He's like, no, they do not make fun of each other for their names. Like, because like I said to him, this is so serious. Like, this is real business these Autobots are doing. Like, he can't, like, to him it's like, well, Optimus Prime would never make fun of Sanju. Like, this is absurd. Like, Bumblebee have his back.
Chris, look at what he says in that page. He says that he hates his name because it's not a strong, manly Autobot name. Why would he lie?
Well, it's only because you're
He had nothing to lie about. He had nothing left to lose. He was going to kill himself.
Yeah, well, I did not. I'm not the one that drew my car, my Autobot, to say that. I did not. You
but I did
that, pretending to be me in a sense.
I wasn't pretending to be you. Chris, look at the page. Do you see on the comic page where it says copyright 2010 Alec Benson Leary? I'm pretty sure that shows that I was not pretending to be you.
Yeah, well,
I was actually pretending to be
you. Have no right. You had no right in killing a character that was originally mine, and I have never said, had never said personally, had died. When a character dies, I would let everybody know myself. Anybody else who says outside of my jurisdiction, it's just a whole bunch of bogus baloney.
Well, maybe I can say it's a parody, and that'll make it okay, right? If Sonic Revolution is a parody, would that be okay?
Yeah.
It would?
I would accept that, yeah.
So Chris will fight tooth and nail for his comic book characters. He doesn't want anyone else drawing the shit but him. Now, granted, any good artist would probably be like, I kind of feel a little slighted when people, no, I don't think anyone cares about, the fan art, like the people draw like the fan fiction. But if you're drawing someone's actual comic, claiming it to be that, anyone would be kind of upset. But, Chris is taking all of his characters from other people. So those people would probably be upset because Chris is stealing from them, But Chris doesn't understand that. But when he tells Alec, it'd be okay if you do it as a parody, well, then Chris should have to admit that his work is a parody too, but he will never do that. And it kind of throws Alec off guard, like it would throw anyone off guard, because you'd think Chris would still be like willing to put his foot down and be like, no work whatsoever, only my stuff, not yours. But like he says, with the fucking, if Alec says it's a parody, it's cool with Chris. So, I guess there's that. Like, when it comes to Sanju and all these characters, Chris, like I said, Chris hates the violence when it's in his own works. Chris thinks his work should be like a nice family comic for kids and all that. But at the same time, as we'll come to find out real soon, when he has a problem with somebody, when he wants to get violent with it, he has no problem doing that. And on the other hand, too, it's like this comic at this point, I'm pretty sure already had like a lot of like sexual stuff in it too. So it's just one of those weird things where Chris could put the risque things that he likes in the comic, but not the stuff that other people draw in. That's just no good. That's just no good. And sadly, that's going to do it for today's video, my friends. I hope that y'all stick around and keep watching these when they come out. We got a whole hell of a lot of parts left, so I hope y'all are ready still to chill. I think we got at least 5, 6, maybe even 7 more. So, I hope y'all keep coming and chilling because I love having y'all here. So I want to give my shouts out to Vanessa, Krabby, Liz Vendor, Club Doom, Cody Hale, Scaly Schisms, Echo Spectre, Sky, The Night Owl, Kaitan, Phelan's Party Place, Churlish, Music Biz Marty's Bong, Pythea, Moochie, Your Mom, Grant M, Mick Surly, Adrian Lara, Sky Fitzpatrick, Chris Chan's Fanta Bottle, Alright Stingy, the Ghostbusters fan, Isaiah, Akiba's Beat fan, and Brian 1. You guys are goats, and all y'all who made it this far in the video, you're a goat as well. I love having y'all here to chill, and it'll never get old having all the homies here posted up, chilling out, and I just love to see it, guys. I love to see it. The Discord servers down below if any of y'all want to join, and yeah, that's that. So, as I say at the end of all of these, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. The weekend is most likely here by the time this video gets posted. Hey, it could be the end of the weekend, honestly. I don't know when this is getting posted, but no matter what, if the weekend's already here, then cherish it and enjoy it, my friends. So, on that note, I'm going to get my ass out of here, and I hope all y'all have a great rest of your day. Until the next one, take care and stay safe, my friends.